Just a question. Does funner not exist? I thought every, let's say, one syllable type of verb, let's say, can be fun, funnier, funniest. So what is it? Funnier?
It'd be more fun, unless somebody wants to correct me. Funner. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right. Okay, let's paste the old. For anyone who's just joined us, there is a mural link in the chat if you want to jump in, because I'm going to be running this this little get together through our collaborative mural space today. Everything we need is on there.
Did you say we'll get a copy of the video as well afterwards?
Yeah, I'm going to upload it to somewhere safe. I've got a Vimeo and a YouTube. So don't worry too much about taking notes. Make notes by all means if you wish. But yeah, I'll share around the video, and the mural board will still be live for you if you want to jump back in and have a look at the things we talk about and all the ideas we pull together. So
great, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Right, well, it's 33 minutes past 1. Got a few more peeps joining us. All right. Let's check numbers on the mural. Oh, everyone's here for now. Post it again. All right. Well, in this case, let us get started. Thank you all very, very much for coming and hanging out with me and Jeroen and Mehmet this afternoon to have a little gamification ideation session, because it struck me that we're all online a lot at the moment, and a lot of our meetings for now. Oh, I've broken my rule and said I wasn't going to talk about lockdown. All of our meetings right now are online, and will probably be that way for the foreseeable future. So I'd like to have a look at what we can do as a community of engaged, creative people to gamify and make more engaging and more funner our meetings. I promise I'm not going to say funner again, because yeah, not so good. All right, has everybody got onto the mural board for now who is here? If you want to, yeah, have some thumbs up at the camera. I'm looking here, but my camera is over there, FYI. So if I'm not looking at you, it's because I'm in the wrong place. Brilliant, excellent. Okay, I'm also sharing my screen, so hopefully if you can't see it on one place, you can see it on another. But what I'd like to do in this session, and I'd really like you to engage with it, is to explore this idea of gamifying online meetings and look at how things like rewards and structure and cooperation can really lean into making these meeting sessions more engaging and, you know, more effective, because meetings these days are kind of expensive. When we've got lots of people you know, senior creatives and directors and all sorts, meetings can get kind of expensive, and if they're not effective, they're no good for anyone. So we're going to do a little bit of ideation today. Now, our agenda, obviously, this is me prattling on for a few minutes in this little old welcome thing here, and then for about an hour at one, we're going to start collaborating on some ideas. I've got a little format set out for you to have a little follow through today. There's a little Q&A thing. If you have any questions or ideas or thoughts from some of the things that we pull together, I thought it'd be great to set aside a little bit of time at the end of the session to have a chat, maybe as a group. Anyone who would like to share thoughts or whatever, please feel free. Don't feel compelled to say anything if you don't want to. That's absolutely fine. You know, you can raise your hand on the little icons on Zoom if you want to kind of throw a thought out there or chuck something into chat. So yeah, moving swiftly across now then, I'm going to jump straight into what our mission for today is. So I've kind of touched on this already, but obviously we are living and working in a world where virtual collaboration and online communication is the new normal, and it can be pretty draining. I've heard a lot of people say recently that they're getting kind of zoomed out, which is definitely a thing, massive online burnout. And it can kind of be tough to engage with any kind of online meeting, let alone one which is not fun or, you know, a bit exciting. So me, obviously you lot, because you're all here, would like to change that. So I've already set us out a little how might we question for today, because I want to jump straight into getting some ideas together. So our how might we challenge for today is how might we use game concepts to combat the disengaging or negative aspects of online meetings. This is quite a broad question, and obviously the concept of game, using big air quotes now, is also very broad. So yeah, how might we use game concepts to combat the disengaging negative aspects of online meetings? Anyone who's just joined us, I'm going to post another link into chat so you can jump onto the mural board there and kind of join the fun on there. So is everybody with me so far? I can see some nods, see some thumbs up, so that's brilliant. Gamification as a topic and as a mechanism, right? I'm sure you've all heard of this before. And I've asked a few people in the last couple of days what they think gamification is, and kind of a lot of people kind of said to me, "Oh, well, it's just a way to kind of to give rewards to people." And I wanted to dig a little deeper because it's not always about just giving rewards. So one of the biggest things, and it's this first one here, is gamification is really a means to inspire change, and as a means to engage people, right? Because when we're saying to somebody, you could get a reward, we want them to do something, to change a behavior or to take an action. So we want to do something that inspires that action and helps them provide a little bit of intent, you know? It can be a way to boost confidence. It can be a way to add meaning to rewards. So rather than just giving out an employee of the month thing, you can make people work for it. You know, it's a way to learn and a way to increase happiness. I've read quite a lot about things like happiness hacks. So activities that we can use to boost our mental well-being. You can introduce those into kind of game concepts as well. You know, it's a way to embrace play and a way to promote collaboration. And, you know, because a game is what it is, the nature of the thing is always more than one person playing a lot of the time. It can be a bit of a way to introduce some competition as well. If anyone wants to take like 30 seconds, is there anyone who wants to quickly share a thought on maybe what they understand of gamification? Anyone want to share anything? You don't have to.
I can share a little bit.
Yeah, Camilo, go for it, man.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet everybody. Thank you guys for organizing this meetup. I think it's a very interesting topic right now. In my experience now working remotely, right? I guess the tools are there, but it's always hard to engage and keep people all the time into the, let's say, into whatever you're doing with them, like a workshop or a class. And I think, well, I know a little bit about gamification, and I know that it's taking a little bit of the, let's say, the main tools that you build a game to create this awareness or this interactiveness with people, right? So it's kind of a set of tools taken from how you play a game, right? Into actually making people more, I would say, insights, whatever you are trying to explain.
Awesome. That's a really good description. Thank you. Is it something you've ever explored before in your work, or?
Well, actually, I did explore a little bit. I did a master in business innovation, and it was a little bit about Disneyfication of services. So I guess it's a very interesting topic. How can you actually engage on these fun ways of, like, for example, taking from gaming, and you can take it into your actual workplace, right? Yet I was very curious about today because I think it's interesting to explore how you can do that remotely, right? Because in the past I have done it in person, but never remote.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I hope there's some inspiring ideas that come out of it today. Awesome, thank you. Great. Well, moving on, because we want to get into some of this collaborative work ourselves today. Things to remember when you're kind of looking at, you're drilling into some ideas. A game in itself doesn't need to be complex to be effective. We don't all need to be engaged in deep Dungeons and Dragons mythology and character building to achieve an effective game mechanic. So think fun, think simple, and think of something that could motivate people to make a change or to act with intent. Brill. One thing I didn't mention at the start that I should have done is that there is a parking lot on the side of our mural board here. If you want to open the outline, which is a little button in the top right hand corner of the screen, it's the one that's got the 3 dots and the 3 lines. If you open that button, the first item in the list says parking lot. Now, if you've got any ideas or any questions throughout the session, feel free to jump back up there, add it into the parking lot, and when we get to the end of the activity of ideation, we'll come back to that and we'll pick round. If you want to keep it anonymous, that's fine. If you want to put your name on it so we can talk about it later, that's fine. Yeah. Everyone cool with that? Brilliant. Right, well, if we're going to move on, let's move on. So this is my favorite part. This is the collaboration part of any online session, and I hope you all can take a little bit of this away with you as well. Even if you get nothing from the gamification ideas that come out, if you can take a little bit of process and practice, that'd be brilliant. Some things you can employ in your own work. So we've got kind of a simple outline of a process that we're going to repeat to build on our ideas. Obviously, the first step 1, is for us to generate some ideas, because they've got to come from somewhere. And at this stage, it's always going for quantity over quality. Just get them out of your head, dump them onto the screen. There's no judgment here. So they can be, I'm not going to ask anyone to put their name onto an idea. So just dump them onto the screen in the sticky notes. After we've kind of got all our ideas together, we're going to look at finding some common themes and maybe rule out any duplicates, because we want to try and whittle down all these ideas into a really concise group of things that we could potentially act on. There's going to be some voting, because Mural lets us do that. So we're going to vote as a group on the ideas that we deem to be best to achieve our idea, our kind of how might we concept of enhancing games. There we go, we've got some ideas coming in already. And then we're going to see what we can do to take our ideas forward. I admire your enthusiasm, everybody. Whoever is our penguin, you're going for it. That's great. So yeah, so we're going to come up with ideas. We're going to theme them, we're going to vote on the best ones, and then we're going to move them forward. So let us jump into the very first section of our ideation. I'm going to summon you all over here. Summon everyone. Right, quick drink. Thinking about this whole kind of game concept and game world, I kind of feel like a Dungeons and Dragons dungeon master right now. I should have some kind of like wizard hat on or something, or a cloak, so I can immerse myself and tell you all a better story. So where I would like to begin, I'd like to begin our quest by establishing kind of a hero for our journey. We can be the hero of this one. And what I'd really like to look at is the things which are working right now. We'll start in a positive place. So all the great things that are possible with online meetings, all the things that we find beneficial with online meetings. What's working right now? What aspects of online sessions, you're all going for it, I can see. What aspects do we want to hold on to and carry forward? And this is a really important one, because when we talk about improving negatives, we've got to have some positive sides as well, things that we want to have as kind of a beacon to hold on to and carry forward. So I'm going to start a timer in a minute, so you've kind of got a head start here. I'm going to start a timer. I'm going to give us 3 minutes. And in that 3 minutes, come up with as many ideas as you can for what is good about online meetings. You can double click on the canvas to add more notes. I'm going to make some more as we go. So yeah, there we go, 3 minutes, and fill up as many of these notes as you can with everything which is working with online meetings right now. Awesome. Finish off your notes if you could. That's great. Thank you, everybody. Oh, there's some brilliant ones there. Some really good stuff. If it's boring, you can get some emails sorted. I don't know who threw that in, but that's, yeah, I concur with that. I feel bad for even saying that, you know, given that I'm sure that somebody may have a Gmail tab open right now, but yeah, that's a thing. Efficient outputs, definitely. No need for physical space, absolutely. Better time management. I think if things are run well, absolutely. It's easy to get things done. Greater reach, yes. People are able to live again the workshop. Yeah, definitely. Get it on a replay. You can join from anywhere. Awesome. Really helps to see each other. Definitely. I've got you all up on my iPad screen next to me so I can see your faces, which is brilliant. Cheap to run. Yeah, there's loads of really good ideas there. And I think there's a lot of these points that are definitely worth hanging on to and carrying forward in everything that we do. You know, even if it's kind of a 10-minute catch up with somebody, remembering to put your camera on, or you know, everything like that can really help in making these sessions effective and efficient, which is really good. All right, we've got some positive things now, which is, you know, we're gonna keep those in mind. But what we really want to do, is we want to think about the stuff that sucks. We want to think about the villains in our story, because that's what we're here to try and work out today. Is which we want to try and combat some of these villains. Now, same kind of activity, except this time we've got our how might we question to the side to kind of jog your memory and really help you dig out some of these negative aspects of online meetings. So we're going to run the timer for 3 minutes again. And I'd like you to think, you're all going again, brilliant. I'd like you to have a think about all the stuff which is absolutely rubbish about online meetings. It can be stuff that may be deemed like a throwaway thing, whatever you want. But 3 minutes and get down as many ideas on these pink notes to the stuff which is rubbish about online meetings. Away we go. Got just under a minute left. Does anybody want some more time to keep going? Add another minute onto the clock. All right. Thank you, everybody. So we'll just wrap up those last notes. Is there any final thoughts you want to throw into the ring there? Brilliant. I wouldn't normally say great, loads of negative stuff, but great, loads of negative stuff. Fantastic. Okay. So we've dumped ourselves onto the screen, so to speak, and we've pulled out some of this negative stuff that is really stopping us from having engaging, enjoyable online meetings. And what we want to do is we want to see which of these things are the worst the worst of the worst that we might want to, you know, we might want to try and combat these. So I'm just going to zoom out here for a second. What we're going to do is we're going to take all of these ideas we've got at the top here. Let me just delete some of the empty ones. And what I would like you to do is to take the ideas and try and group them into some common themes by picking them up and dragging them down and dropping them into these individual columns below. So can everyone kind of see this, this list of columns that says theme next to it? I know it's quite zoomed out on my screen. Let me come back in a little. Now, this is an activity called affinity mapping. So what we want to try and do is find kind of commonalities between these negatives to form some groups that we might be able to carry forward and, you know, pull out some of the duplicated ideas as well. So let me move that back up here. I'm not going to start it off. So all you need to do is take an idea, drag it down into the into one of the columns. I'll start some time off again so that we can get going. So away you go. If you see ideas that are duplicated, feel free to color them in a different color. Change the color of the notes, and we can pull some of those out. Create some more theme columns. Okay, time is up. I've got a few ideas left. Right, I'm going to put one more minute on the clock. So we'll run for one more minute. We'll try and wrap up all these ideas that are hanging around in the top. All right. We'll call time on that. Quick scan up. Oh, one more to go. Cannot travel to places because all meetings are remote. Okay. Yeah, if you're into travel, remote meetings not so good for you. Brilliant. Thank you, everyone. That's ace. Right. What I'm going to do, if you give me a second, I'm going to count up these cards. 2, 4, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 10, 13, 7, right, 47. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a little bit of voting on these. So I can see we've got some great themes here. We've got themes of attention. We've got themes of etiquette, connectivity, the number of meetings. That's absolutely a thing. Meeting overload is definitely a thing. Exhaustion. I mean, you know, that's a theme in itself, really. Mental presence, outcome quality, structure, and other stuff. I do like an other column. It's always good. So let me do what we're going to do. I'm going to start a voting session now. And what I'd like you to do is to vote on the pink cards. So just I've got to do a very quick math to make sure we've kind of got a good number of votes here. Divided by 2 equals, no, that's too many. 12. Right. No, this one, start a voting session. So what we're going to do is we're going to vote on which are the worst villains. And we're going to have 10 votes each. And as I say, I'd like you to vote on the pink cards only. So to do a vote, you click on the card. To remove a vote, if you don't want to, if you want to remove something you have cast, hold down Shift and click again, and it will remove your vote. And if you would like to vote on a card more than once, you can. Double voting is allowed. Controversial, but that's okay. So cast your votes. 10. You have 10 each on the worst villains for our meetings. So which are the most negative things? Do a quick timer as well. I'm not sure who our anonymous gorilla is or was, but they still have 10 votes.
Yeah, I logged in twice.
Ah, fair enough.
For the gorilla.
All right, just a couple of votes left for who's going to get there in the end. Awesome. Great. So our anonymous RAM finished casting their votes. Okay. Going to end our voting session now. So apologies, but to move us forward. Okay. Right. So we have all voted on the things which we deem to be absolutely unforgivable with our online meetings. So the top things that we can see here, we can see lack of instant feedback. So that got 6 votes. Screen fatigue, 5 votes. And easy for people to get distracted. Absolutely. If anyone is checking their email now, shame on you, but I understand. Other highly voted stuff, you know, people losing themselves, sidetracking discussions, 2 conversations going on at the same time, definitely. And definitely it's harder to pick up on body language as well. So we close this down. So we can see here, easy for people to get distracted, screen fatigue, and lack of instant feedback. These 3 things are our absolute villains that we want to try and combat with our gamification. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull these up into the next session up here. Just while I'm quickly tinkering this, how's Mural performing for everybody? Is it reasonably stable? Yeah, it's going all right. No one's getting too much lag. Little bit. Okay. Right. So, lack of instant feedback is a villain. Screen fatigue is a villain. And ease of distraction is also a villain. So, let us move into the third act of our story today. And this is all about power-ups. You know, a lot of good games, especially if you play video games, they have power-ups. You know, they make us better, they make us stronger, they give us cool weapons. And, you know, if you're playing Fortnite, you know, dancers, apparently that's a thing. I'm not sure if that's still a thing. So what we're going to do, exactly the same concept as before, really, except we are going to try and come up with as many creative ideas on how we could utilize concepts in games to combat these villains. Now, over on the right-hand side of my screen, should be on the right-hand side of your screens as well, I've come up with a little bits of food for thought on things which, you know, things which you could think about when you're coming up with your ideas. So, you know, could you use like badges and icons to kind of give people, to make them feel like they're collecting things. You know, what goals can you set? How can you share rules more clearly? What feedback could you give to people? You know, could you make these things a co-op activity? Even your online environment. So, you know, today we are using Zoom. I can see you all, and we're using a mural board. This is our environment for today. How could you use that, or how could you kind of expand on that in your work? So let's take some time, another 3 minutes, to come up with ideas to combat a lack of instant feedback, to combat screen fatigue, and to combat the ease of distraction people might face when they're doing online meetings. If we are ready, let's kick off our 3-minute timer. Away you go. All right, I'm going to add a little extra time to give us a bit more thinking space. All right. Thank you, everybody. So quickly wrap up any last thoughts. There are some really, really good ideas there. Some really good stuff there. Okay. Let us do some more affinity mapping. So we're going to do the same activity as we did before, except this time we are going to tackle our ideas. So I'm going to bring them down if I can. Muriel's going to let me. I'm going to drag these down here a little bit more to bring them a bit closer to the columns. There we go. So yeah, brilliant. Thanks for putting your ideas down. So well, let's do this affinity mapping exercise again. So what commonalities can you find in these ideas that people have contributed, and you know, what sort of themes might we be able to pull out to combat some of these villains? So let me kick off another timer session, and go for your lives. Start grouping them up. Let's see what commonalities come out. Okay, looks like we've gathered up all our ideas there. That's brilliant. Let's let our timer run out. Always feel a bit awkward cutting it off halfway through. Excellent, thank you everybody. So we have got some interesting themes there. So online games, so actual kind of tactics we could use. We've got things about rules. We've got movement as a category, the facilitator or facilitators, and concepts of rewards as well. Something I didn't do with the last round of affinity mapping is trying to pull out any duplicates. So are there any that anyone can see that in each of the columns that kind of just maybe duplications of ideas at all? Let's have a quick scan up and down. Goodies. Looks like we've got a lot of unique tickets today, which is really, really good. All right. Well, let's move on, and we'll do exactly the same as we did last time. And we're going to do some voting. Now, what we're going to do is we want to vote on the ideas that we feel will best address our villains. And I now realize that they are way up the screen, and I should have brought them down as well. So the lack of instant feedback, the screen fatigue, and the ease of distraction. Which of these ideas do we feel will or could be used to best address those villains? So let me kick off another voting session. Not that one, this one. And remember, just vote on the green tickets again. So which power-ups will us the most? And fewer cards this time. So we're going to do, we'll do 10 votes again. I want to see some good heat maps. So if we're ready, we'll put a little timer on. 3 minutes. Away we go. And there we go. Time is up. Oh, and everyone has cast their votes. Fantastic. I'm assuming our anonymous ram has dropped from the board, but that's okay. Great work, everyone. Right, let me end this session. And we'll see what kind of, which of our ideas may may take us forward. All right, on-screen reminders to take a quick stand-up break. Yes, I think we all need that prompt every now and again. Use positive icons to show positive agreement without voice. Good idea. Do 15-minute walk-in meetings with voice only, so as part of online meetings. Interesting. Make participants facilitators for short times. Oh, that's a good one. I've seen that used in the past. It's an interesting way to get people engaged and showing achievements as well. Brilliant. Got some great ideas there. So let me pull out the top ones. 8, 6, and 6. I'm going to highlight those. Now, is everyone with me so far? We're all doing all right? Because we've come through our hero stage. We have a hero of all the good stuff. We have some villains, all the bad stuff. And now we've got some power-ups. But as with every good game, there's got to be some kind of epic boss battle for us to approach. I feel like a dungeon master in this. This is amazing. I've been watching way too much Stranger Things. I need like a cape and everything. All right, so if you bear with me for 2 seconds, I am going to take us over to another area on our board for our final stage, our epic boss battle. If any thoughts or ideas have come out as we're doing this, remember, top of the screen, there's the parking lot. We're going to have some time at the end of the next session to, field any questions, throw ideas out to the group as well. Right. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. Epic boss battle. I love this. Right, this is a different kind of exercise, which, I'm switching it up on you here. So we're going to have to iterate our ideas. Now, let me bring these cards over. I'm messing this up. So what we're going to do, this is an activity called brainwriting. Mema introduced me to this. I've tried it a few times with different subjects, different themes, and it's a really good way for people to contribute and kind of iterate on ideas without hopefully fear of judgment or pressure, or kind of people to fall into traps of groupthink and things that you might get with a traditional brainstorm. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to pull these ideas across. The intent with this activity is for each of you, if I can get my Miro board to do what it's meant to be doing, to come up with one extra idea that we could use to enhance each of the ideas that we have come up with. So thinking about on-screen reminders to take a quick stand-up, quick break. What could you do to enhance that idea by one step? What sort of things could you do to make it, more tangible? The same goes for do a 15-minute walking meeting with voice only. How could you make that idea, carry that idea one step forward? And we've got round 3, use positive icons to show positive agreement without using our voice. What could we do to enhance that idea? So what I'm going to do, I am going to put a timer on for 5 minutes this time, and I'm going to give you all a little bit of thinking space. And if you can, come up with one idea each to enhance each of these initial ideas. If you have a couple more, awesome. Feel free to throw them into the hat as well. Timer's on. So let's see what we can do to iterate our ideas. Okay, just under 1 minute left. All right, everybody, put down your pens. Proverbial pens, I guess. Although I, have got one here. Brilliant. There are some absolutely cracking ideas there. Yep. Awesome. Assigning a DJ for every meeting. Absolutely. I have actually written down here that we could have had a shared playlist for this kind of session, because when you're in a workshop, it's good to have a little music on in the background, but it's kind of a bit weird playing it over Zoom. So that's going to be for the next time. Brilliant. Okay. How easy was that kind of to enhance your ideas? You want to give me a yes or a no or a maybe? Is it reasonably good to try and take those forward? Awesome. I am really, really pleased. Okay, so 15-minute walking meetings. Treasure hunt, definitely. Alternative for those less able, yes, absolutely. Inclusive meetings, especially now we are, in the situation we are in, is definitely something for everyone to think about. How can we make it accessible and inclusive for everybody? What have we got? Count icons and show us achievement. Make icons person related. Yes. Personalized emojis. I think everyone could use a bit of that. Brill. All right. Now, we're not going to do voting on those ideas because there's way too much good stuff. But what I'm hoping is that all of those could give you some food for thought to take forward. So, I'm just really quickly and badly pulling together the final state of this. So, summon everyone over. Mission accomplished. Everybody, thank you very, very much for contributing and collaborating and inspiring me, and hopefully inspiring each other as well with some amazing ideas on how we can level up our online meetings and how we can, keep us all a little bit healthier online. So back to the beginning, how might we use game concepts to combat the disengaging negative aspects of online meetings? Lack of instant feedback, we've said, is one aspect that is no good. Screen fatigue and easy distractions. Definitely, I'm in full agreement with you all there. And so we could use positive iconography to show positive agreement without voice. We could do some walking meetings, and we can put on some on-screen reminders to take stand-up breaks as well. Those are all really, really great ideas. And obviously we've got our boss battle iterations, which you can all kind of go and digest those as you wish. What we'll do now, if you would like, I'm going to jump straight up to our parking lot. And if anyone kind of wants to weigh in on maybe what they're seeing right now, how they feel about, some of the ideas that we've pulled together. Does anyone want to chuck a comment out there? That's okay.
Yeah. So,
everyone jumping in at once.
Ladies first. Who wanted to?
Go for it.
Carolyn, go for it.
Yeah, so I mean, it relates to a question that I put on the parking lot actually. So part of what I was here for today was to see an expert using Mural in action. So thank you for that, and it's brilliant to see and be part of. But it got me thinking about whether or not with some of these suggestions for movements during online meetings, whether or not online meetings could be made manageably, made longer with them. So at the moment, I'm very new to online meetings and I've not really ran any workshops or anything like that with it yet. But the guidance I'm hearing is maximum an hour and a half. But could you make it 4 hours if you have these regular breaks and made them really interactive and, you know, participant benefiting, that sort of thing? Would it work? What are people's experiences of that?
Anybody like to comment on that?
Maybe I can reflect on that a little bit.
Yeah, go for it. You're on.
Some of us here in the call last week's participated in what they call the Global Virtual Design Sprints. And that's a month-long event of design sprint events. And some of them, people here in the call that ever participated in a creative workshop, let's say creativity doesn't stop after 90 minutes. It might go a little bit down because of screen fatigue and all the reasons we saw here as well. But we need to go on. We need to go on. So I like that idea that you just brought, Carolyn, and say, okay, can we find formats, break type of exercises or doing things together in a different way that can actually lengthen the attention value and the energy level of people throughout the day, because now we have a tendency of stopping those calls after 2.5 hours. Mm. And even then you need substantial breaks in there to make it till the end and not have people drop out mentally, if not physically, if not emotionally in a journey like that. So it's a nice challenge, I think, that you bring forward. Can we stretch it to 4 hours, achieve more, but in a different way? I like that idea.
Yeah, really good. Anybody else?
Yeah, may I speak or?
Yeah, go for it, Camilla. If you want to, anything to add on that one, or
great. No, I think what Jeroen say is true, and we have been doing some remote problem framing workshops, and you can see the level of energy of people dropping because it's too long if you want to cross over all the activities. So I guess one of the things that I'm getting here as well is as this meetup, it should be, I guess the information should be much more concrete and concise. So you can reduce the times of the activities, I guess, what normally you will do. Otherwise, people will disengage. And I guess it's good to break it into parts. We kind of break it and give some long breaks, and it actually helps to boost the participation of people. I do like from today the idea about the walking and talking. I think it's an excellent exercise. I think something that it can definitely improve how do people do stuff, because not everybody is into, let's say, for example, going for some exercise. Maybe people will do, but I guess talking with each other during those breaks, or maybe with somebody that you met that is interesting, might be a great idea to have like a digital coffee, let's say.
Absolutely. I think you're on, and Mehmet and myself have kind of run digital virtual coffee sessions over the past few weeks and months, and they've been really good to get people in touch with each other. Carolyn, I think I'd be really interested to once you kind of get into kind of facilitating things, I'd be really interested to find out about your experience of trying to host some longer sessions, or how you approach breaking them up. I think it'd be really interesting to maybe, you know, if you ever want to kind of just ping me on LinkedIn or anything, just to share back the thoughts that you've had. That'd be great.
Yeah, maybe. Just thinking out loud, I can well imagine that it will probably work for some clients. So those clients who say to me, how long do you need for this workshop? We'll make it happen. And then there's other ones that I'm looking to get 15 minutes with them. So I think those ones that say, how long do you need? Then those are probably the ones that I'd try a really super interactive 4-hour session where probably collectively an hour of it is dedicated to activity offline in between sections, that sort of thing. Just thinking out loud about it there.
I have only a reflection thought to this, which we were discussing as well in like an online facilitation course, that the interactivity, and I'm personally a huge fan of everything that is interactive, everything that breaks the routine, that moves, that things that you have to click, I love it. But all the games and all the activities that we do online, they still have to support the goal of that meeting and the learning or whatever it is that we are there. Because mindlessly designing activities that apparently, yeah, they're fun, yeah, we're dancing, yeah, we're having a good time, but they don't have any connection whatsoever with the purpose that we gathered here. At the end, people are going to feel like, well, this could have been maybe an hour and a half, and I could have used my time to do something more productive instead of dancing with you all. It was amazing, but so I guess it's just a finding up the balance and really thinking and picking the right activities, which is not always something very easy to do.
Maybe I can add something to that, because what I was observing also, if you look at the insights that came out of this exercise, it seems that a lot of the ideas or output or observation are about energizing people. So gamify to energize people. And I think lots of people are looking for that as well, how to get through those 4 hours, as Caroline was just mentioning, for instance, safe. But what you just say, Anne-Marie, is more about how is the gamified approach contributing to achieving the goal more successfully, maybe more efficiently and more successfully. So can you level up the conversation or the creative process 1 notch or 2 notches up by introducing gamified context, let's say reward ID generation and things like that? How is that maybe stimulating next level creativity of other participants instead of always the same 2 or 3 that contribute in the session? So for me, this session was more about exploring the impact on the process and maybe less about how to energize people and how to get through 2.5 hours of online meetings every day, or 5 hours of online meeting, and having a backache, screen fatigue, and things like that. But very rich insights, by the way, Tom. No complaint, but I see a different type of goal of gamifying online meetings.
That's really good. I think if we can take a different view on it. I mean, I see that someone's posted here that people have held meetings in Red Dead Redemption 2. I have heard about this, and you know, I've heard of people doing the old Animal Crossing meetings on the Nintendo thing, and I think it's finding a platform to use it in a game format to make something engaging is really, really interesting. So yeah, absolutely. Let's have a look at some of these questions. What can we test next week? Go for your life. Whatever you want to, any of these ideas. I do not own these ideas. You all own these ideas. So if there are things which have come out and you want to take them and iterate them on your own time, or maybe you want to have a chat about how you could iterate them, I'd love to hear what you're thinking, because if we can kind of build up a little bit of a shared knowledge on how we could use some of these techniques and some of these exercises that add real value, I think it'll make us all a bit better. So yeah, I don't know. You let me know what you're going to try out. That's all I'm thinking about that.
Maybe I can say something.
Yeah, go for it.
I would love to hear your opinion, guys, on what do you think. We are kind of A/B testing now a lot. We are sending a box to your place before the remote session, and then we are playing a lot of what it should be on the box, because you're trying to make it more fun, right? So if you have something in your hands that brings you know, the spirit of design into you, you can also connect it to a little bit of the gamification part. But as Ana Maria said, don't go out of the actual let's say process that you're doing, right? Because people don't have time, especially nowadays, because you have 20 minutes online. So I guess it's good to have not only just a souvenir, but something in the box that is quite nice. I would love to hear what you guys think about it. how you will build this box, or what are you guys doing about it?
So you're bringing a physical element into the virtual meeting.
Yes.
That's really interesting. The logistics of that, I'm sure, are
Well, I
challenging.
I guess if everybody's here in this meeting, understand the power of testing stuff. Oh, Jerome has something to share.
Yeah, maybe I was participating recently in a masterclass from a good friend. Let's say it was a training on design sprinting. So I'm a bit biased about the friendship. But before the event, this box arrived. So it is the unpack experience that you have then, which actually, I don't know where the card is, but there was a personal message there in the open space. When you opened it, there was a box of chocolate, a bottle of champagne to celebrate success, and a word booklet that actually guided you in the physical way through the whole masterclass. And I was surprised to see that box really arrive the day before the training arrived. So not 5 days before or 1 day too late, but really on the day it arrived. So just an example, it gives you that physical stroke virtual type of experience.
Well, that looks awesome. I'm not gonna ask you what is inside the box. I guess everybody is doing something different. But I do believe, I really like how you just said that you have the surprise of getting the box. I think that's something that really engage somebody into the digital session, right? Because you feel something tangible. Yeah, thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
So I'm not the only one thinking.
No, that's awesome. I think as with all these things, just in time delivery of any kind of gamified element is going to be really important for having an effect, you know. So as Jeroen says, you know, it wasn't 5 days before, it was the day before, just as he's gearing up towards it. So with whatever you do, think about how you can get those concepts just in time for the people who are going to receive them. Got a couple of interesting questions here. I'm going to go, we've only got a couple of minutes left. What are the wider issues around online meetings, lack of agenda, or even the need for meetings? I think that's, for me, my experience says that can often be a cultural thing with businesses, especially on the need for meetings. A company who I'm working with at the moment is meeting heavy. And if we were in a physical space, I would have got no work done. So if that is something which you are feeling, I would suggest that it would be something that needs tackling maybe outside of the meeting itself, rather than everyone rocking up to the meeting and saying this is pointless. But then again, you know, you could create an award for the number of times you've avoided a meeting by just having a quick conversation. So therefore, you know, introducing gamified elements for not doing something rather than for doing something. But yeah, as for lack of an agenda, always set an agenda. I'm pretty sure I don't need to tell any of you this, but always set an agenda, please. Otherwise, we do end up going off track and we lose that value space that we're trying to work in with our sessions. I'm going to go to one more, which is a really interesting one. How might we combat skepticism of people towards games? This is really interesting. It's something that's I'm reading a book called Reality is Broken, which is all about the benefits of games in real life, and it touches on something like this. So, who, if you don't mind me asking, who wrote this one down? Do you want to throw some thoughts, Alexandra? Do you want to throw some thoughts about that?
I had the idea to this because I watched a video recently from, I don't know if you know Joe Erie and the Magic Sauce. He's doing nice videos about online facilitation, and he made one that started with that people are really tired of like the penguin game and making, you know, kind of fun of people and being ridiculous. And I've seen so many people just rolling their eyes, whether it's face-to-face or online with icebreakers. Just a pity. but it's something that we have to take seriously. How come? Why are people like really skeptical about it? And the question is, at this stage, how can we combat? Obviously, with good games that don't hurt people, don't make fun of them, or we want them out of the comfort zone, but still, you know, having this as a nice game. So I'm wondering if you've seen that, if that happened to you, and what to do.
Oh, that's really interesting. I want to throw it over to the group in a second. I mean, I used to be very, very skeptical of icebreaker type things. And to be fair, I kind of still am sometimes. It's my introvert side that definitely cowers at the thought of doing something absolutely ridiculous in front of a group of people. And I completely agree that there's got to come a point where poking fun at each other and making almost a bad game of a good idea is just going to be too much. And as you say, everyone's going to tire of it. Let's throw it out to the group for a second. So have anyone experienced similar sorts of things? How have you combated that in your own sessions? How have you engaged people without using maybe tired formats or the same game over and over?
I think it also highly depends on who is sitting in your session. So if there are people that are curious by nature, then you can almost throw everything at them. They will accept it. If you have people that are a little bit more conservative towards new approaches, then it makes sense to understand what makes them tick and what do they actually like. There's some people, they like games, but only in the manner they understand games, and also just in a subliminal way, and not calling it not by its name. Yeah, it's like if you want to introduce, like for example, the new way of working agile in a company, then best is not to call it agile, just to do it in a way that they think we have done that all our lives already, so that they internalize it without even recognizing. That would be one of my tips.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen?
Yeah, one of the things that we've done on our team is just to theme the activity. So we do a retro every couple of weeks, and the format gets quite similar, even if we do some variations on the exercise, because the whole team's now familiar with the format. So we theme it, so someone's done like a Titanic theme, and just kind of riffed on the way each of the activities is framed, and that brings a little bit of interest. And we've sometimes done that as a way to expose like people's like personal interests and things to the team, and that's been one way to like breathe some life in. I still think we have to like remix the sessions as a whole every now and again to keep it fresh. That has kind of given it a bit more life than just repeating the exact same workshop over and over.
Absolutely. So do you collectively agree on like a theme that you're going to run, or are you just leave it open to the floor?
We rotate the facilitator, and then whoever's doing that kind of picks the theme. That's kind of part of the kind of setup of the session.
Oh, that's really interesting.
But that saved us some energy for sure.
Brilliant. All right. Well, we've got a couple of questions. However, we are up to 3 o'clock. Does anyone else have any kind of like final thoughts or comments on the things that we've talked about, ideas we've pulled out? All right.
I think you should do it again in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we should do another one. I'm also actually planning a meetup. Not that, I'm already sketching what are we going to do for a new meetup, and I'll make sure that you guys receive also an invitation.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
And I think we can also co-create a little bit the next session, so we cannot lose track and actually share some knowledge of what we are doing and trying to implement to make this easier for everybody, right?
Exactly that, my friend. I completely agree. That'd be great. Yeah, invite everybody. We'd love to come. What I'm going to do, I'm going to stop the screen recording. I'm going to let that save down. And I'm going to send you, I've got all your email addresses. So I'm going to send you a link to the recording of the session and kind of the key takeaways. So if you are going to kind of move it forward, take any of the ideas we've got, please do. Go and experiment and play and engage and motivate anyone that you work with, and just, you know, try this stuff out. It doesn't matter if it like falls on its backside the first time you try it. Learn something and try it again. And always just, you know, try and make a good game. So on that note, thank you very much for coming and sharing a bit of time with us this afternoon. Really appreciate it. And yeah, go enjoy the rest of your day, everybody.
Thank you, Tom. Well done.
Thanks a
Enjoyed it.
lot, Tom.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Nice to meet everyone.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you, Tom.